It sounds like they're still planning to play both of their quarterbacks this week, even though Jones has been really good the last week. How different is what they do based on each guy's?
No, I think it's a very similar game plan for both guys. Both guys can operate, both the run game and the pass game. Really the preparation for both is about the same.
Preparing for the run, the Q run in particular with them, what makes what they do so effective when you're kind of looking at it, regardless of who's back?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the athleticism of the quarterback, both of them are really talented with the ball in their hand. So that makes it the most difficult. When you talk about QB run, you talk about any running game, it's about who's possessing the ball. If you've got a really dynamic running back, it makes stopping the run hard. If you got a really dynamic quarterback, it makes stopping the Q run hard. They've got, a good stable of running backs, and they've got two QBs that can really run it. So there's a reason they're third in the country in rushing, averaging whatever over 320 yards a game. So we've got definitely a huge challenge in that regard. Because even when you get a one-on-one, and you fit it up perfect, they've got a bunch of guys that when the ball's in their hand, they can make you miss. And that's at both their running back position, that's at the quarterback position, and then, their receivers, if they've got the ball after catch, you got to be able to pin them down too. So tackling's going to be huge.
You had a couple of big fourth down stops right after turnovers against South Carolina. What's the key to having that mentality? DeAndre was talking about that we look at it as, okay, good. This is an opportunity for us to do something. What's the key to having that kind of mentality?
It's you said it. It's opportunity. Like you view the situation, sort of as a detriment, or in a huge challenge, or do you view it as an opportunity to do something really special? And we've got some great senior leaders. DeAndre, you mentioned him, and obviously that entire unit. They believe that they can rise up in big moments, and so there's a confidence there. There's an excitement that when they get to go back out on the field, and so that was good to see. Not just in those moments, but throughout the whole game. There was a really good energy about the entire sideline. So I had a good feeling about it when we kicked off, that they were going to be dialed in and ready, and they were.
What do you think are reasonable expectations for all those guys who return, but in particular the guys on your side of the ball? I know a couple of them probably would have been in the depth chart at the start of the season if they hadn't had to go through what they had to go through. So how far along are they from kind of?
Yeah, we'll just see. It's so early. I know we're about 3 days away. We're going to need every bit, of those days to evaluate and see where we are, and if any of them are ready to step in. It's hard, for those guys. They've been out for a little bit, but they're working hard and doing the best they can, in the situation.
Is that more that layoff? Does it affect more mentally or physically, or?
I think it's both. I mean, it's so much about football is getting reps, but at the same time, the physical aspect of there's nothing like doing actual football plays. So there's an aspect of both, being mentally ready, in the playbook and seeing things, eyes. You can't replace reps in football.
But you've got JJ closer to full strength. Now you're getting Vito back. Devontae's played pretty well. How is your thinking on whether to have two outside linebackers or that middle position you guys talked about out there? Has that changed at all from before the year, or is that based on what you're facing?
It's a little bit. It's a little bit of everything. It's a little bit who you're facing. It's a little bit how everybody's playing. There's an aspect of you want to ride the hot hand. Once you get into a game, but it's nice to have bodies and some depth back. So that is good.
Like Jalen Geiger played really well the other night. For a young guy like that to kind of come to Texas for success, I guess how much of a breakthrough do you think it comes from that?
Yeah, that's what we're kind of hoping for, because he had a really good camp, and then early in the season, he was fine, but didn't have those big moments that we were kind of hoping for. Obviously, he made a couple of really big plays down the stretch there in the fourth quarter. And you hope that that continues to build his confidence. You know, it looks like, you know, he's walking, you know, a little bit taller. And that's what you need. You know, you need some of those plays to, deep down as a player, you know you can do it, but until you do it in those moments, you know, there's always going to be that seed of doubt, and that's where experience comes in. And so now he's gaining that experience, and you know, when you make big plays and big moments, you know, you build that confidence, and we're going to need it. You know, it's a long season. We're only a third of the way through, and knock on wood, you know, we got to try to continue to stay as healthy as we can, but we're going to need everybody.
Mark said you had challenged the guys with like a rushing goal for this last game, and they far exceeded that. Have you set another one for this type of matchup? And
you know, every week it's a little bit different, you know, in terms of how you approach it, how you attack it, and so, you know, you can't just, if you use the same thing over and over and over, it kind of gets stale. So sometimes you have to vary, you know, and at the end of the day, you try to highlight the one or two things that are most important that you think or you feel, you know, maybe as a coordinator or as a defensive staff, that will really affect the game the most. And last week it happened to be that running game that we focused on. Obviously, if you can hold this running game in check, you're going to put yourself in a decent position. But you know, when you rush for over 300 yards, it's like you go into a service academy and say, "Hey, we're just going to stop the run." Well, it's not. You know, you don't really do that. You know, they're really good at what they do. But what you hope you can do is you can limit sort of those explosive plays that really change the momentum of the game. So we've got to be focused on that. A lot of that comes with, you know, tackle. We've talked about before. Big plays are a cause of either missed tackles or missed assignments. If we can limit those, both those things, you know, we give at least ourselves a chance.
Is it safe to say if y'all, you know, do what you want to do on Saturday, that Marquand might need IV after the game again?
Well, when you play as hard as he does, you know, I think he'll probably need that often. But boy, he played a whale of a game, and you know, his energy, his effort, his physicality at the point of attack. I mean, we're going to need that each and every week, not just this week, not just last week. We're going to need every week out of him. And you can see when he's playing at a really high level, you see how it changes the game. I thought, you know, for me, arguably the most important play of that entire game was his forced hold, you know, on 1st and 10. They had just gotten the ball close to midfield, or maybe just over. First play they rushed, got a first down, whatever it was, gain of 11 or so, and then on 1st and 10 he forces the hold to make it 1st and 20. We end up getting it to where it's a 4th down stop later in that drive, and it really helped with the momentum of that game. So I thought that was a huge play. Obviously, after another turnover, he did a great job of coming out with a TFL. You know, again, putting them behind the sticks, making them long, 2nd and long. And so when he can make those kind of plays, it's good for the defense. It makes life easier as a play caller. So we need him to continue to play at that level.